All right, so I'm going to be changing the oil on my F350 and 6.0. First thing I want to bring to attention, now this cap, my truck was at the shop and my mechanic brought this to my attention and mentioned that this cap is not the right cap. I'm running Motorcraft filter and this cap is too tall. This cap is much shorter, and he explained the reason for that. When your oil in your oil filter housing, when the cap is too tall, your oil pressure, every time you start your truck, the oil goes back down and you're basically dry starting. So if you're running that and you're running the Motorcraft filter, you need to change the cap. So we're going to change the oil. So first we're going to go underneath, we're going to drain the oil. Make sure you have a nice big drain pan. And by the way, with your new O-ring, we're going to lubricate it with clean oil and get it on here. And then we're going to take that off after we drain our oil. I know what you guys are running. This is what I usually run in my truck. Good stuff. Oil filter, fuel filter. All right, so let's get started. All right, you're gonna need a big drain pan. If you got a diesel, you know that. And that's our drain pan. So we're gonna loosen that and let it drain. See, I got a big magnet. That is just in case if you have any extra. Well, you know what magnet does. All right. All right, so we're draining, getting ready to take the bung out. What I like to do before I take it out, I push up, totally push up. Now you can let it go because the pan is not, you're not lose it. It's right in the pan, but you keep pushing and basically you pull and you keep it in your finger. Of course, gloves. Right now the truck, the oil is still hot and it drains better when it's nice and hot. So, and make sure you release the air cap from your oil. So, all right, let this drain and let's go up top. All right, so we're up top. You're gonna need either a big socket or you can use just the adjustable. And once you get this loosened, you can see normally this would pop up. It didn't pop up. Cap is way too long. So all right, throw both of these away. I run Am's oil, look at that. So she's empty. Well, now it's gonna be empty. So, all right, let's get a new one in. Oil filter cap. It's your O-ring. I'm gonna get some new oil. Try to keep this clean. You don't want to get any dust on it and sand. You got the opening on the top of the filter cap, and then this notch, this will snap right into it. All right, now we're ready to put your assembly in. Make sure your gasket is fully coated in oil, and now we're good to go. Yep. See that springy? I didn't have that before with the tall cap. Look at that. Super, super important. All right, press and turn. want to make sure that O-ring is fully seated. Otherwise you could get leaks around the edge. All right, don't go crazy over torquing. Just make sure it's nice and seated, and that's it. All right, so we're gonna put the oil bung in, tighten that up. Pretty straightforward, same as removing. Clean your bung, make sure there's no contaminants on it. And then we're gonna go and we're gonna be adding oil. All right. This is my oil bung. And I like to look at them and see if there's any shaving. And the magnet did catch. Nothing major, but you can see a little bit. Time to add the oil. You're gonna need a funnel, and just take your time and pour. Make sure you have your oil bung in. Now I like to put almost all that I need. Then I check the oil to make sure you're at the right point. It's best that you add some more if you have to, than if you overfill. So let the oil settle down just a little bit, check the oil, and then if you need to add more, you can also add a little bit more. All right, now I'm gonna check the oil. So you wanna wipe your dipstick off, stick it in, and check it again. All right, so I could add a little bit more, which I'm going to. I have some Stiction I'm gonna add. So I left enough room to add that. Good stuff, guys. I recommend it. All right, I'm gonna get some of this stuff in. Just make sure you don't overfill your oil capacity so that you have enough room for this stuff. And we haven't cranked the truck yet, and I'll show you how to do that without dry starting your truck. And also, you're still gonna need oil to go up in here. So if you're about a quarter to quart short, you should be totally fine. I don't have any stiction problem, but I heard this stuff is great, so I'm gonna run some of it in my truck. I'm gonna leave just a little bit because when I was adding my oil, it was pretty close. So I don't want to overfill. You can also add a little bit more if you need to. Stuff bugs me when people work on your truck. They never leave things the way they're supposed to. All right, so we're gonna button this up and we're gonna crank it up. All right, so for this test, or for this, you're gonna start the truck, getting ready to start it up. You don't want to dry start your engine. So Ford has this here, thanks to the famous Mr. Ron. Rest in peace, sir. You have this thing here. You're gonna squeeze it, and you pull it out. Okay? Make sure the key's out of the ignition. And you're gonna put it on your positive battery wire, and it's gonna crank. Well, it's gonna turn the motor over. Let me double check, make sure the key is out. All right, ignition is off. So now what we're gonna do, we're going to crank. You're gonna basically rotate the engine over a few times, basically priming the oil pump so that when you go to crank, you're not starting your engine dry. So I'd say about 3 or 4 times to do it, and that should be good. All right, here we go. And I think he said you let it sit just for a minute or so. Or 30 seconds. All right, let's go. All right, I think that's pretty good. All right, so we're gonna put the wire back in. Don't forget to, if you don't, you can't start. Snaps in. There we go. Put your battery back, cover. All right, so now we're gonna crank the truck. And then you can let it run for a little bit. And then in the morning, I always like to check my oil again just to make sure everything is nice and level. Alright guys, going to be changing the fuel filter. I do that pretty much every time I change my oil, since my interval is pretty long. So, alright, thanks for watching.